Have you ever noticed how islands always seem a little unsettling? In movies, whenever you need a place where nature has gone completely off the rails, it's always an island. They're cut off, mysterious, and full of surprises. Think about Skull Island, the fictional home of King Kong. Giant apes, oversized bugs, dinosaurs that should have been extinct long ago. It's the ultimate, vacation destination. But here's the thing. Nature already made her own Skull Island, and it wasn't hidden in Hollywood. It was very real, and its name was Madagascar. Now, not the Madagascar you're thinking of with lemurs dancing too. I like to move it. Move it. I'm talking about Madagascar 70 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous, a time when the dinosaurs still ruled. And this island, isolated from the rest of the world, became an evolutionary pressure cooker. This ancient Madagascar was a land of contradictions, sometimes desert dry, sometimes drowning in floods. A place where cannibal dinosaurs, giant snakes, armored crocodile cousins, and frogs with jaws stronger than wolves all battled for survival. If Skull Island ever had a zip code, this was it. The island of isolation. To understand why Madagascar got so weird, you need to picture the map. Roll back the clock 70 million years, and the island already looked a lot like it does today, separated by hundreds of miles of ocean from mainland Africa. But here's the twist: it used to be fused with India for an unimaginably long time. When the two finally split apart, Madagascar drifted off on its own, cut off from the rest of the world. And that's when the magic or the madness happened. You see, islands force evolution to get creative. Animals get smaller when resources are scarce. Others blow up to monster sizes because there's no competition holding them back. It's called insular dwarfism and gigantism. And Madagascar had both in spades. The environment didn't make things any easier. Imagine living through long, parched droughts, dust choking the air, rivers running dry. Then suddenly, the sky opens up and unleashes torrential rains. Flash floods roar across the plains, drowning anything too slow to get out of the way. Sediment layers preserved in rock tell us this happened a lot. So survival on Madagascar wasn't just about dealing with predators, it was about outsmarting the land itself. And if you thought the weather was bad, wait until you meet the neighbors. The cannibal king, Majungasaurus. Every island story has its monster. For Madagascar, that crown belonged to Majungasaurus, a predator that looked like it had been built out of spare dinosaur parts by a mad scientist. At first glance, it wasn't the biggest dinosaur carnivore ever found. At around 23 feet long and weighing a little over a ton, it was nowhere near a T-Rex. But what it lacked in size, it more than made up for in attitude and in design. Majungasaurus had a fat, squashed skull that looked almost comical, stubby little arms like sausages, and legs that were absolute tree trunks. Its body was stout and heavily built, like it had been hitting the prehistoric gym way too hard on leg day. But all these odd proportions served a terrifying purpose. You see, most theropods group of dinosaurs that includes predators like T-Rex were slicers. Their narrow skulls and blade-like teeth were designed to snap, release, and slash again, carving up prey one bite at a time. Majungasaurus didn't play that game. Its skull was thick, reinforced, and built for something different, latching on and holding tight. Imagine a pit bull crossed with a crocodile. Once it sank its jaws into something, it wasn't letting go. And this something it specialized in was massive titanosaurs. These long-necked giants, like Rapidosaurus, lumbered across Madagascar's plains, and Majungasaurus may have been uniquely built to bring them down. Paleontologists have actually found titanosaur bones riddled with Majungasaurus bite marks. The evidence is chilling. This wasn't a predator that nibbled. It clamped down and wrestled giants into submission. Its thick ribs, interlocking vertebrae, and powerful legs all supported this brutal bite-and-hold strategy. But here's the kicker. Majungasaurus wasn't picky. When times got tough, it turned on its own kind. In 2007, paleontologists discovered multiple Majungasaurus fossils scarred with bite marks that matched perfectly with Majungasaurus teeth. Deep gouges, not just surface scratches. In other words, direct, undeniable evidence of cannibalism. Majungasaurus is the only non-bird dinosaur we can say with confidence actually ate its own. Whether it hunted them or scavenged them doesn't really matter. On an island like Madagascar, meat was meat. And yet, for all its ferocity, Majungasaurus had a flaw. Its brain was shockingly small even for a dinosaur. One part of its brain that normally helps coordinate eye and head movement was especially tiny. So instead of scanning around quickly like a hawk, it probably relied more on brute force and persistence than smarts. Picture a linebacker with teeth, devastating in a fight, but not exactly solving calculus in its spare time. Still, if you were wandering Madagascar 70 million years ago, this was the last creature you'd want to bump into. And just when you think things couldn't get worse, they did. The oddball hunter, Majungasaurus. Now, while Majungasaurus ruled as the heavyweight champ, Madagascar also had a bantamweight fighter in its corner, Majungasaurus, at about 7 feet long and weighing only as much as a big dog. This little theropod wasn't going toe-to-toe with titanosaurs, but what it lacked in size, it made up for in weirdness. The first thing you'd notice about Majungasaurus? Its teeth. The front row of its mouth looked like something out of a cartoon gone wrong hooked. Spoon-shaped teeth that actually jutted forward out of its jaws. Picture a raptor with a permanent underbite. And you're getting close. But there was nothing funny about those teeth. They were probably perfect for snagging slippery, squirming prey things like small reptiles, fish, or even insects. Some paleontologists even think Majungasaurus might have grabbed fruit or other odd meals when meat was scarce, on an island where resources could vanish overnight. Being flexible was a survival superpower. And here's another odd twist. Majungasaurus grew incredibly slowly. Studies of its bones suggest it took nearly 10 years just to reach the size of a large dog. That's glacial compared to most dinosaurs. Why? Probably because in Madagascar's harsh, unpredictable environment, slow growth meant lower energy needs a strategy to ride out the lean years. So while Majungasaurus was out there body-slamming giants, Majungasaurus was the scrappy little survivor, eating whatever it could get its weird teeth on and biding its time. The serpents of the island, snakes that ate by the chunk. But if you thought small hunters were your only worry, think again. Madagascar's forests also hid one of the scariest predators of all time, giant snakes. Meet Madtsoia. This beast could stretch up to 26 feet long, about the length of a moving truck, and unlike modern anacondas or pythons, it wasn't tied to swamps or rivers. Nope. This was a land snake, roaming the island's plains and forests like a scaled horror movie villain. Here's the worst part. Madtsoia didn't even eat like modern constrictors. Its jaws were primitive and rigid, meaning it couldn't unhinge its mouth wide enough to swallow prey whole. Instead, it had another, far nastier method. It bit and tore, using rows of sharp, recurved teeth and raw muscle power. It would rip chunks off its prey, gulping them down piece by piece. Think less boa constrictor and more eel with the body of a truck. And Madtsoia wasn't alone. A smaller cousin, Minarana, prowled the island too, still big enough at 8 feet to make anyone nervous. On an island where even the snakes were leveling up into monsters. You quickly get the picture. Nowhere was safe. Not on the floodplains. Not in the forests. Not even on dry land. Crocodile cousins, the armor, and the oddballs. If you thought hiding by the water might give you a break, sorry, bad news. The rivers and wetlands of Madagascar came with their own apex predators. Mahajangasuchus, the river terror. First up, Mahajangasuchus. A crocodile cousin unlike anything alive today. At over 16 feet long, it had short, powerful jaws packed with laterally compressed, serrated teeth, the kind you'd expect to see in a dinosaur. Not a croc. Those teeth weren't just for gripping. They were for slicing. This thing was built to ambush and butcher. Fossil evidence shows its heavy armor plating, thick enough to fend off most attacks. In the water, Mahajangasuchus was basically the undisputed king, ready to drag anything fish. Dinosaurs, mammals into a watery grave. Majungasaurus the pug croc. But not all of Madagascar's crocodile kin were nightmares. Some were just Bizarre. Case in point, Mahajangasuchus, the pug-faced croc. At only about 2.5 feet long, it was downright tiny compared to its relatives. And instead of dagger teeth, it had chubby, leaf-shaped ones perfect for munching plants. Not flesh. Imagine a bulldog in reptile form, squat body, short snout, waddling gait. Some scientists even think its shovel-like face helped it burrow into the ground for safety. Sure, it was probably adorable compared to Mahajangasuchus. But let's be real, in an island full of cannibals and truckling snakes, cute only gets you so far. The frog from hell, Beelzebufo. As if giant snakes and cannibal dinosaurs weren't enough, Madagascar also hosted the biggest frog the world has ever seen. Its name? Beelzebufo. And yes, that literally translates to the frog from hell. At first glance, you might laugh. How bad could a frog be? But this wasn't some harmless hopper by the pond. Adult Beelzebufo may have been the size of a small dog, and its mouth was gigantic compared to its body. Even worse, it packed an absolutely crushing bite. Modern bullfrogs can already surprise you by eating small birds and rodents. But Beelzebufo took it to another level. Bite force reconstructions estimate up to 200 newtons. That's about 70 times stronger than today's largest frogs. For comparison, most humans don't even break 500. This frog bit harder than wolves, harder than some tigers. What did it do with all that power? Probably whatever it wanted. With its gaping mouth and bone-crushing jaws, paleontologists think it could have swallowed baby dinosaurs, whole small theropods, or young titanosaurs that wandered too close. Imagine a frog leaping from the mud and clamping down like a bear trap. Terrifying. To make things worse, Beelzebufo wasn't just strong, it looked menacing too. It had bony armor plates down its back and little horn-like ridges above its eyes, giving it a devilish face to match its name. In short, this was no ordinary amphibian. It was a monster in a frog suit. The mammal underdogs. Here's the twist though. In a land dominated by giant reptiles, Madagascar also gave a surprising spotlight to mammals, our distant cousins. And against all odds, they weren't just surviving here. They were thriving. 3 genera are known from this time: Vintana, Adalatherium, and Levanify. And while they were still small compared to the dinosaurs, 2 of them rank among the largest mammals of the entire Mesozoic era. Vintana was the heavyweight, tipping the scales at about 19 pounds, roughly the size of a house cat or a small dog. That might not sound like much, but for the Dinosaur Age, that was enormous. Its superpower? Smell. Nearly 14% of its brain volume was devoted to olfactory bulbs, the structures that process scent. To put that into perspective, in humans, that area is less than 0.1%. In dogs, only about 0.3%. Vintana was the bloodhound of the Cretaceous. Adalatherium was stranger still. Its skeleton was riddled with extra holes, openings called foramina, that carry nerves and blood vessels. More than almost any mammal known, past or present. Scientists don't know exactly what these passages did, but they hint at a weirdly specialized system, something unique to its biology. Adalatherium literally means crazy beast, and it earned that name. These mammals weren't predators. They probably stuck to roots, nuts, and seeds. But the fact that they reached these sizes and evolved such unique traits on a predator-filled island shows just how weird Madagascar's ecosystem really was. The end of the island's monsters. For millions of years, this chaotic ecosystem thrived. Cannibal dinosaurs, chunk-eating snakes, hell frogs, armored crocs, and strange mammals all carved out a place in the cycle of life. Madagascar was brutal, but balanced. And then, the sky fell. 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula in what is now Mexico. The blast was felt worldwide. Fires, shockwaves, tsunamis, and most devastating of all, years of darkness and climate collapse from the debris cloud. Even though Madagascar was far away, its monsters stood no chance. The island's entire ecosystem was reset. None of the dinosaurs, none of the snakes, not even the mammals survived into the modern day. Today's lemurs and fosses? They came much later, long after the slate had been wiped clean. And maybe that was for the best, because the Madagascar of the late Cretaceous was not the paradise we picture today. It was Skull Island made real, a place where even frogs and crocodiles turned into nightmares. So the next time you think about Madagascar, don't just picture baobab trees and lemurs. Picture floods that could drown whole herds, predators that ate their own kind, and a frog that could bite harder than a wolf.
To see this
Picture an island where survival meant living in constant fear. An island that truly earned the title, the Wild Wild East. And that's the story of Cretaceous Madagascar, an island that truly was nature's Skull Island. A land where the weather could kill you, where frogs bit harder than wolves, where snakes ripped prey apart, and where even the dinosaurs turned on each other. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't need our imagination to create monsters Earth already did. Now I want to hear from you. Which of Madagascar's monsters do you think was the scariest? The cannibal Majungasaurus, the frog from hell, or the truck-length snake? And if you could time travel there for just one day, would you dare set foot on the island? Or would you nope out immediately?
Destruction
Drop your answers in the
renewal.
comments. I read them all. If you enjoyed this dive into prehistory, don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow dinosaur fans, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Hit that bell so you're the first to know when we uncover the next prehistoric secret. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and maybe stay away from islands.